Suns, 95-7 the game. Later on tonight, we hope that you'll be with us as the Warriors try to get back in the win column, and you think your Warriors have been compromised. Wait till you get a load of the Suns. Let's welcome in our good buddy Jon Bloom, broadcaster for the Suns, who has traveled far and wide, planes, trains, and automobiles to get here for Damian Lee ring night. Thank you for coming, Jon. That was nice of you.
It is exciting that we have something to look forward to that's not necessarily the basketball game, which could be another ugly one for the Suns tonight. I know they're hoping that that's not the case, but D. Lee getting a ring, that is something that we're all can rally around, both sides tonight.
Yeah, what's up with the decimated Suns? Can you break down the litany of injuries? Do we have time? Do you want to go halfway through and then we can take a break and you can come back and do the other half? What's the deal with the hospital squad?
How long do we have, Dibs?
Man.
It's been rough. You guys have experienced it in stretches, I know, and it seems like almost every team in the league is experiencing it this year, but it's been taken to another level for Phoenix right now, with Devin Booker being where it starts because he was playing as the best shooting guard in the league before he went out. And now, there's another few weeks probably without him. And then on top of that, now you add Chris Paul dealing with more issues after he had already missed a good stretch of a few weeks. Couple that with the two Cams, Cam Johnson and Cam Payne, both being sidelined. And now you add three new names to the list, including your starting center and DeAndre Ayton, who tweaked his ankle again the other night in the loss to Cleveland. So it just keeps going on and on and on. After a 14-6 start, they've gone 6-15 the last 21, and that's why they set a game under 500 for the first time in a couple of years.
So, Jon, let's take both of these teams together because I think that the Suns and Warriors, I think everyone would agree that in theory, if health is ahead, better days are ahead. Both of them right now sitting. The Warriors are 2.5 games out of just the 4 seed. The Suns are only 3 games out of the 4 seed. How do you see this going the rest of the way? And if we can assume some sort of health, do you still think both of these teams are top 5 seeds?
I think that it is fair to assume that they both can be there in the end, that they can both get to the top 5. The reason I think that is just based on personnel right now for the Warriors and based on opportunity for the Suns to improve their personnel. It's the worst kept secret that Phoenix has been holding on to a starter who's been sitting on his couch all season, and they haven't gotten anything for him. That's Jay Crowder. So they're waiting, and James Jones has had to be patient, and it's not necessarily his call to be patient. It's sometimes it's the guys that he's been dealing with looking to make the trade that have kept this kind of on hold for the meantime. But here we are. We're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline. Something's going to happen, and this roster is going to change, and we all know it. Then it's going to change because you're going to get healthier. So for those reasons, I stay optimistic about the Suns' future. But as they continue to slide, this is now 6 straight losses and 9 out of 10. You got to put an end to it soon. And the tough part for Phoenix is it's not getting easier. They had a 6-game trip in 12 days. Now they got home for a couple of games. They're back on the road for 4 starting tonight here, and then it's off to a tough Denver team tomorrow night on the second night of back-to-back with a depleted roster, then to Minnesota where they've been up and down, and then finishing in Memphis, and we all know about how the Grizzlies are sitting on top of the West right now. So this is going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. 2 of the top teams, Denver and Memphis, and then you talk about the Warriors getting healthy right now, so that is definitely going to be a challenge for the Suns. But even then, I look at it and I say, if they can get healthy, and that's a big if, this is a team that can still do a lot of damage, and they have changed their approaches. We talked about the last time you guys had me on. They've de-emphasized the importance of the regular season after setting their franchise record, winning 64 games last year. And as I sit here seeing 21 losses on the cheat sheet in front of me, it just makes me amazing. It's not an indictment about this group. I think it's more just an amazing feat that they pulled off last year, only losing 18 in the entire season. And you guys can appreciate that, having seen even better seasons here in the city by the Bay.
Yeah, we were joking last week that even if they ran the table 40-something straight to end the year, they still wouldn't match last year's total, which I know is off the table now, sitting at 20 and 21. For those of us outside Phoenix, what's the story with Jay Crowder? Why has he been unwilling to play for a team where he could make such an impact, especially now with the injuries?
I know, and it's definitely something that has a lot of Suns fans, pulling their hair out of their head because it's one of those deals where you're just not getting anything out of him or in exchange for him through this whole portion of the season. Now, all that said, I just got done telling you about their de-emphasizing of the regular season, so it could still end up paying off if they can put the right squad together for the stretch run. You guys saw it happen last season here with the Warriors, and the Suns hope that they can do something like that. But it's going to take the right guy putting into that spot to make it happen. I think Cam Johnson is definitely a guy that can make that impact in the starting unit, but then he went out 8 games into the season and has been making his way back after having surgery on his knee. They do expect to have him back sometime soon, probably sooner than all the other guys I listed earlier, and that's exciting for the Suns. As far as Jay Crowder, to answer your question, Dibs, it was agreed upon before the season by both parties that he was going to sit out until they could find a deal because he wanted an extension, and the Suns weren't ready to give him one. He has this last year on his contract. That was what was agreed upon, again, by both sides. Are they both potentially regretting that agreement right now? Yeah.
Jon Bloom, Suns broadcaster, with us right now. Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. All right, real talk time, my friend. Let's talk about where the Suns and Warriors are with one another sort of emotionally. I think most fans here in the Bay, their focus when it comes to rivals or teams that get under their skin, the focus tends to be on Memphis because the Grizzlies yap all the time, and they're dancing, and right, there's that. But I know you know this. There's something beneath the surface here between the Suns and Warriors, and maybe it's not beneath the surface. Clay, Booker, we've seen the emotions get the best in both of the games so far this year that were played in Phoenix, and we know that the Suns have a little bit of a thing with the Warriors just because of the longevity and success. How would you put all of that into words, and as far as the fans and the players are concerned?
Well, I do think it's different than the tiff, if you will, with the Grizzlies that the Warriors seem to have. And I think the Grizzlies are all riled up about the Warriors. I mean, we could see it when we were in Memphis the last time, just hearing them, because they were fresh off the last game against the Warriors. So I think there's something different there. But you're right. When the Warriors came to Phoenix, you saw Klay Thompson get a little riled up, more so than I think you normally see him, and he got ejected. And that's an unusual situation for that guy. And you know, the tensions boiled up, but then at the same time, afterwards, it was all, class with regards to how everybody talked about each other. There's just a real tremendous amount of respect between Devin Booker and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and all the big kind of players that play here. Chris Paul involved in that as well, although not as long-term with the Phoenix Suns. And I think a lot of Warriors fans think about Chris, in other uniforms than they do with regards to what he's done in a Suns uniform against the Warriors. But at the same time, there is something there. It's just unfortunate that those guys aren't even going to be in uniform tonight, talking about Chris and Devin and Cam Johnson and Cam Payne. So I don't anticipate it bubbling over to tonight, especially with the good vibes in the air with Damian Lee getting his ring and everything like that. But I do think the Warriors have, some payback here after the Suns beat them up pretty good in Phoenix twice, double-digit victories. So they'll probably want to get a little bit of revenge after that, and they'll have a good chance to do so, considering the mismatch on paper.
Does this underscore the biggest problem with the NBA? This game should be a somewhat of a massive regular season tilt, yet Phoenix isn't healthy enough. The Warriors still recovering from injury, and it becomes almost like an afterthought. Is there any cure, John, for this sort of an ill? Because this game should be a big-time marquee spot in the association.
I agree. It should be. And here it is, again, another national TV game. And we've had a handful of those that have been duds on one end or the other. Either we are banged up and don't bring it, or the other team has that similar situation. And I think this is something happening more often than not. And Dibs, I don't have the solution from a standpoint of the schedule makers, but I do think that they can do a better job. Now, one of the steps that they've taken is trying this baseball approach where they'll have us play twice in a city. I think that can have a positive, response for teams because they're not traveling as much. Look, we have been all over the place. I mentioned 6 cities in 12 days, but then you're back in Phoenix. That's the 7th city in 14 days. Now here we are in the 8th city in 16 days. That's a little insane. From a standpoint of folks needing to go out and give their best in an athletic endeavor. I'm just going and talking. I mean, and I'm exhausted. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to complain on my front, but I understand it. And when I go home, my family, my wife and my daughters are asking me, why are these guys getting hurt so much? You can't possibly recuperate when you're going city to city to city. And I do kind of get that. I think that could play into this. I don't think the Suns are unique to this either. I'm not trying to cry foul that the Suns are being mistreated. I think in general, could we better the product by adjusting the way the schedule plays out? Yes, I think we could. Now, the easiest answer would be take some games off the shelf, but I don't think the owners are going to agree to take the cash out of their pockets.
Fascinating idea. By the way, when you end this road trip, it'll be 11 cities in 22 days. How many pair of underwear do you have, John?
You know, I'll count them right for you right now. Too many.
Gosh,
I overpacked it because
Gotta be at
you
least
never want to end
2
up
dozen.
This is
Exactly.
a live underwear counting on 95.7 The Game. Hang on, everybody pause.
This is a high point in my 25 years in the business, John.
This is what we call a driveway moment in radio. No one's getting out of their car now. Let's go ahead. Count them out.
We're looking at 8 for 6 days, 8 pairs. And I'm a boxer guy, but here's the thing. I had to pack before this trip because I had 2 trips. I took the kids to Disneyland for my daughter's birthday.
Nice.
So I met the team here last night. They flew separate. I flew separate from them, let me say. And so I gave the bag to my trainer, and I'm thinking to myself, how do I do this math? I got to pack for a trip after a trip. So, yeah, I crammed an extra city in there. So 12 cities in 22 days for me with Anaheim in the mix.
All right, there it is. So
8 for 6 seems reasonable.
Well,
you got a 2-drawer buffer just in case.
Well, buffer, or do you work out? Are you working out 2 times in 6 days? Is that what it is? Because it's a 2 underwear day if you work out.
You know what? It depends on how much of a lather. You know me, I'm not much of a sweater. Will. That was more of you. You know, you usually built up more of the lather than I did.
It's great honesty between these 2 Peninsula legends.
If you want to destroy my sweater, there it is from a great Jon Bloom. By the way, will you give a parting shot, please? People won't know this because you're a broadcaster for the Suns. But yes, local guy and a huge Giants fan. Carlos Correa to the Twins. Your thoughts, John?
Yeah, let's see how long he lasts. I mean, look, it's not my money, so I would have loved to have him here with the Giants, but I'm more focused on the other folks rocking the SF right now, my Niners and our little Arizona boy from Gilbert, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, getting it done. That's where my focus is right now, Will, and I'm hoping you guys come pay me a visit for a little game in February.
Yeah, you got a couch, we'll be there.
The meetings are underway, and yes, thank you. Even though you haven't offered yet, I'd love to stay with you.
And I will bring 8 pair for 6 days as well.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right.
We got a little golf tournament there, too, a little pre-party on Sunday morning before we have to head to see some football. So I got it all laid out for you.
Just remember, if I sleep on your couch, I'm a sweater. So anyway, John, thank you very much, brother.
Take it easy. Always fun, guys.
All right, there he is.